It's time for Shotno Sports Basketball Roundtable action with our friends Brett Ramirez, Joel Fosu, Cade, Welty, Jason Carmello, and my friend, the myth, the legend, Mychal Hunter. Friends, which Big 12 coach talked his way into the unemployment line on Wednesday? Mychal?
I think it's probably both of them. I'm not sure Tad Boyle was going to survive to begin with, but Jerome Tang had to talk himself directly into the fact that he's still there today is kind of crazy, honestly. He had to have lost that locker room. I mean, his team can't have any faith in him because they think that he doesn't have any faith in them at this point. So I think it's a bad look. It's a bad situation. He was already struggling the last couple of years. I think Jerome Tang talked himself right outside the door.
Is Jerome Tang going to make it the rest of the season?
I would say yes, because firing him in season somehow makes Kansas State kind of look bad to potential replacement coaches. Coaches don't tend to care for people that let coaches go mid-season. So, yeah.
I don't know. You could have a tarmac situation. They got some tough road games coming up.
Yeah, this is true.
Mychal, it's my favorite question for you every year, and you love this one. Who are the teams you trust and don't trust as March approaches?
I don't trust Tennessee. Never trust Rick Barnes in March. I would have said the same thing about Matt Painter up until the last 2 years. But he doesn't – if you look back historically, Matt Painter has not performed well in March. Every ACC team, really. Clemson, I thought, was one of the more solid teams in that conference. They take a bad loss – or not a bad loss, but a loss this week. North Carolina just lost Caleb Wilson to an injury, with no real cement timetable that he's coming back. Louisville – yeah, they play great when Michael Brown hits 10 threes, but how often does that happen? The answer is once. Duke relies heavily on freshmen. What happens if Cam Boozer has a bad game? Isaiah Davis is really good, but, there's always potential there. And then BYU, they've got maybe the best big three in the nation, but they haven't beaten a top 40, 50 team since December 9th, I think. So I'm not a big buyer in BYU. I wonder about DeBansa, who's put up great numbers, but when they get to the tournament, that stage, that'll tell us a lot about him, I think, even though playing in the Big 12, he's performed obviously very well. As far as teams I do trust, Houston is number one on that list. I trust Houston explicitly, probably more than I should or anybody else in the country, but a lot of the Big 12 teams, really the top 4 or 5 teams in the Big 12, I'm going to take most of them, if not all of them, to the Sweet 16. I really like how Illinois is made up. Other than that, it's, Arkansas is not really for me. Alabama's not for me. Nebraska's a nice story, but they're very heavily dependent on how they shoot from three. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure if I'm there yet. I do like Connecticut's makeup, but they have a tendency to disappear offensively, but that's kind of a quick breakdown of who I'm looking at.
Cade, Welty, what you got?
I got a team not to trust. They're slated for a 7 seed right now. That's the Iowa Hawkeyes. I'm talking about only birds, I guess. I'm just a bird man today. They just look unimpressive recently, and I think that's the best way of putting it. You do have Bennett Stritt's game record. That's fantastic, but that's about all you kind of have there. I don't trust them. I'm hot take. I don't trust Vandy. I don't really trust a high-flying SEC team. I know their defensive rating's gotten a lot better over the past month. I just don't trust the SEC outside of Florida and maybe Arkansas. Is that fair to say? I feel like that's for me, it's fair to say, and I don't know the opinion that matters. So I'm kidding. Those are the two teams I really don't trust who are slated in the top half. And then a team, of course, I would trust is St. Louis. Billikens look really good, and they're really fun to watch. And so they're slated against Georgia right now, and that's a clean sweep.
Jason, what you got?
Mark Few has spent the last decade making Sweet 16s. So give me Gonzaga to make another Sweet 16. They've had the injury bug lately. They haven't played great. But I think, Mark Few makes Sweet 16, so go with that. And then, I think Grant McCaslin has earned the benefit of the doubt, right? For the Red Raider fans, they have people in the right spots on their roster. And when they've been healthy, they've been really, really good, right? Let's keep in mind, Kansas might be the hottest team in the country or in the top 5 teams in the country right now. And they had them dead to rights with 8 minutes to go, even 5 minutes to go without Christian Anderson. They check all the boxes. They have perimeter shooting. They've got the defense. They've got the big, and they've got a fantastic point guard. So I'd go Gonzaga and Texas Tech to me. And then if you watch Michigan play, Michigan's length is tremendous. So the best defensive team in the country. They can switch every screen out there on the court. Their versatility defensively is tremendous. So I go Gonzaga, Michigan, and Texas Tech.
Wrong. Well, I give you 2 rights and a wrong. The wrong, Mark Few better figure out the defensive lapses, subpar 3-point shooting, and for my God's sakes, hit a damn free throw. 69% as a team, maybe the easiest fade in the tournament next to Tennessee. Michael Hunter.
It's such a boomer thing to say. The national average for free throw shooting has been 68 to 71 for 60 years. It never changes, and everyone sees 69% and they start freaking out. It's average. That's average.
Those are 3 points.
Doesn't mean anybody's good at them.
Absolutely killing me today, Michael. Jason, which big time program seems safe to make the NCAA tournament, but might just sweat just a little bit on Selection Sunday, or might be sitting out there on the cold saying, please, can we come in?
Good question. So, this one's going to be a surprise because, a lot of bubble teams are going through it. If you look at a lot of projections, but UCLA. So everybody says, well, UCLA is really good, right? They're really good. But like peel back the onion. Let's look at their profile. Their only win against the field this year is a home game against Purdue. Yeah, it's a great win, but that's it. Their second best win is a road win at Washington, who just lost to Penn State and is eliminated from at-large consideration. 1 win against the field and no wins against even teams on the bubble. And they lost a game to Ohio State. Now they have 2 games coming up against USC, which will be really important. But they still have to play the following games: at Michigan State, at Michigan, Illinois, Nebraska, and at USC. Those are all still on the table for UCLA. So while they're on the bubble now as a 10 or 11 seed, honestly, a lot of that is because they were given the benefit of the doubt in the preseason as a top 15 team. And so people are carrying that bias with them. UCLA is not safe by any means, especially with a lot of the wins over the past week with bubble teams. UCLA could be in trouble on Selection Sunday.
You lose to Ohio State. You lose to
Cal,
Indiana, and Cal. Yeah.
Right? That's right.
Come on.
And don't sleep on Minnesota. I know they've been awful.
That's right.
Especially the last 3 weeks, but their 1 win in the past 3 weeks was a home game against Michigan State. So, if Michigan State can lose at the barn, UCLA can absolutely lose at the barn.
It's sad. It's sad to see such noble teams find their way not into the tournament. I will cry now.
You gonna get the young fellows involved or what?
I'm gonna get the. Matter of fact, you want me to get the? I'm gonna get the young fellows involved. Joel, stand by. Brett, stand by. Cade, Welty, which one are you taking to win the Big 12? Arizona, the field, and if it's the field, who?
The Kansas Jayhawks or Houston Cougars? Both of them. Because they both control their own destiny. I can go over at Kansas. They're going to play Houston, and they could play Arizona again. So they can hand Arizona their second loss, which then put them in tied category. And then they can also knock down Houston at the same time, making a 3-way tie. Well, I'm pretty sure that tiebreaker go to who beat who. Kansas beat all of them. So I'm going to take the Jayhawks and roll with it. Roll Hawks, roll blue guys. I don't know. Roll something. The fog's rolling in. That's what's rolling in.
Rock Chalk.
Oh, there we go. I forget that's their saying,
Joel, you're shaking your head. What you got?
Cade is just hilarious. But I do agree with him. I think Kansas is built all around from head to toe. You look down low, Floyd Badunga, one of the best centers in college this year, in the Big 12 this year. I think all around, if you have a healthy Darren Pearson, if you have guys like Melvin Council is getting in the game and is doing what he needs to do. If you have, I mean, look at the resume. You have a great coach in Bill Self. I mean, one of the best in college basketball. And you've proven it against Texas Tech. You've beaten them. You're gonna soon play Arizona and see how that matchup will favor you or not favor you as well. But this Kansas team, I think, is built head to toe and just not just star power as well, but cohesiveness. You've seen it down the line. You've seen what they've done. They've had a top draft prospect come into their team, but also the guys that might be underestimated by a lot of people, like Melvin Council, who I talk about a lot. I think he's a very underrated player. I think this Kansas team definitely will shock some heads in this year's tournament.
Yeah, Council played 40 minutes? I think he played the entire game the other night. He had 2 turnovers. That's insane for your lead guard.
Kansas and friends, right? That's the new thing. They're Kansas and friends, friends.
The answer is Houston. Houston. The answer is Houston. Brett, will there be any bid thieves this year? And if so, which conference is most likely to see one? And I know Jason's going to step in and want to answer this one also.
Here's my problem. Going into this, I was going to say the A10. And then George Mason goes and loses to Richmond. Are you kidding me? Richmond can't miss to start that game. They're down 41-19 in a point. Right now, as it's looking, the field's stacked right now. That bubble is absolutely a mess right now. Give me the WCC.
What? Why?
If Santa Clara loses one more game, if they win that tournament, who like St. Mary's fine, Gonzaga fine. Who's going to stay in there over Santa Clara?
Okay, Jason, what you got?
I think it's the A10 and the MAC. If Miami of Ohio goes the entire season, doesn't lose in the conference tournament, the committee's going to put them in. Like whether they should or not, we can talk about this for about the next 6 to 10 hours, but they're going to put them in. Like they're going to put them in, even though their non-conference strength of schedule is almost dead last. Out of 365 teams. But Akron and Kent State can absolutely win that conference tournament, especially on a neutral court. Up in Cleveland, it'll be right next to both of those schools. I think it's coming there. In the Atlantic 10, VCU is starting to play really well. They usually do at the end of the year. VCU's playing well. George Mason has had some struggles. Don't count on a team. Dayton has really good players. Grant has not done a good job this year with the Flyers, but there's enough teams in the Atlantic 10 that can be competitive. And St. Louis is going to know into that tournament. They're going to be they're going to be between a 6 or 7 seed. They're going to be in good shape regardless. The team might be hungry. Look for maybe VCU to win the A10 and either Akron or Kent to go in the MAC and steal 2 spots.
Mychal.
Yeah, just fun fact about the MAC. I always talk about the MAC. That's one of my favorite basketball conferences in the nation. I heard a stat the other day, and I haven't fact checked it, so I'm not 100% on it. They haven't gotten multiple teams in the tournament since like 1999. It's been we think of the MAC as probably the one of the top tiers of that mid-major echelon, and for some reason they don't get enough teams in the tournament every year. You're talking about Kent State, Ohio, Toledo, Miami of Ohio, these Akron, all really, really good programs, and that for some reason that conference just can't get over the hump and get multiple teams in. I would actually go with the Mountain West. I don't know how that lines up with what Jason has, but I got to think that 2 of the 3 are going to get in when you're talking about Utah State, San Diego State, and New Mexico, especially if they carry on as they have been. New Mexico is in 3rd, and they're 10-4 in the conference right now. I got to think that somebody else gets rewarded out of the Mountain West.
I'm just going to put it into perspective here. If Akron wins, Miami of Ohio has played an equivalent schedule as maybe Sam Houston. And if Sam Houston wins Conference USA and Liberty, would you put Liberty in? No, you would not put Liberty in. You would not put Liberty in. You would go, sorry, Liberty, you didn't play anyone. Miami of Ohio, if they lose, they should not be in. Mychal, what you got?
I think we're all in agreement that they shouldn't be. Fun fact, though, when Akron lost the other night, it dropped them below the 60 line. So now Miami, Ohio hasn't beaten a top 60 team this season. So their metrics get worse as the one team that they have played loses games.
Joel, do we need to put the panic button on Iowa State?
Think so. Okay, I'll say this. They've looked sharp early in the year, but if we're taking those early in the year results and the team that was there early in the year going into term, I mean, March is a whole different ball game. You're gonna have times where your players are gonna be on cohesive and they're not gonna be on cohesive. When I watched that TCU game the other night, I didn't see the Iowa State that you usually will see. Guys, not getting rebounds, guys not going for drawing fouls. I mean, I put it as if it was like from 1 to 10 scale, I'd say I give them a 7 on the panic scale. I give them a 7 because it's very scary to see. I mean, you're a top contending team in the Big 12. You're probably going to get a great bid going into the tourney, and you're a strong team as well. But you're not performing that against a TCU team that you have that hasn't really performed up to par this entire season.
You're going to hit the panic button if they don't win 3 out of their next 6 games, because remember, you have Kansas hosting Houston, at BYU. You've got Utah, which is the worst team of the Big 12.
Indeed.
Next to Kansas.
Worst Power 5 team.
Yeah, worst Power 5 team at all. Then you have to host Texas Tech and then go to Arizona.
That's tough. It's ugly. It's never going to be easy, and it's ugly. So out of those next matchups, you're going to see if they're built or they're not built.
Cade, what you got?
I actually don't think you need to press the panic button. I've been on the record actually not a huge trustee in Iowa State. I'm going to trust them right now. And the reason why is you do have a very tough way to end the season. They're all in Ames. Other side of the Arizona game. Your next games are Kansas, Houston, and BYU, right? That's Ames, Iowa. And then you go to Provo, Utah, which teams have proven this year you can go beat BYU at BYU. And then you go to Salt Lake City, Utah. Well, okay, that's the Utah Utes. Nobody cares. Nobody knows what they are. You lost Kyle Whittingham, and now you've lost everything. And then you get to host Texas Tech, which Tech this year has not been a great road team. I mean, if we're going to be honest, Tech has not lived up to their potential on the road. And then you have to travel to Arizona, and they get to host Arizona State. So, also, by the way, their 3 losses this year are on the road. They haven't lost at home. And they're all in conference play. Do we need to go talk what happened when they went to Purdue? I know it's early season, but
Okay, Cade. Settle down. Jason, what you got?
on the screen.
Yeah, I'm not hitting the panic meter at all. It was a sleepy mid-week game at TCU. They weren't ready to play. You could tell they weren't ready to play. When they turned it on, it was just a little bit too little, too late. They'll be the betting favorite. I mean, Mychal, you know that better than I do. They'll be the betting favorite this weekend against Kansas at home, and I think they beat Kansas at home, and then you get Houston as well. So we could be talking about people. They could in 3 days they could be in a conversation about a 1 seed. As crazy as that sounds, if they beat Kansas and in Houston. So not hitting the panic meter. Listen, they're always a top 10 defensive team. Defense plays. They're going to hang in there. They're not overly skilled, so they're not always going to blow teams out. I think they're okay. Again, their floor is going to be a 4 or 5 seed in the NCAA tournament, so I think they're just fine.
Mychal, what you got?
Yeah, there's a couple different things, a couple different ways to look at Iowa State. I'm also not panicking. A few things you need to succeed in March. It's good coaching, good backcourt play, and good defense. They have all 3. The only thing that worries me is Killian Torrey is a freshman. The freshman wall is absolutely a real thing. He has not performed well recently. I think he's only had 10 points the last 2 games. His turnovers are – not his turnovers. His personal fouls are up. which he's known to be a ball hawk. He gets in there, he gets a lot of steals, but now he's getting a lot of fouls. He's not playing as many minutes. He's struggling with his shot. I do kind of worry about that, but Taman Lipsey's back there too as fourth or fifth year guy. So I'm not hitting the panic button, but if Killian Torrey has a bad game, maybe fouls out, comes across some turnovers, Iowa State could be in trouble because it looks like they're kind of coasting towards the tournament. They've lost to a couple bad teams, TCU and Cincinnati, in the last few weeks. So hopefully they can flip that switch, but if somebody punches them in the mouth, you never know what could happen.
Brett, are you panicking or not panicking?
It's not necessarily a panic. It's just kind of this has become a bit of the norm for Iowa State over the last few years. It started back like in 2021, 2022, where they were up to number 12 in the country. You go to Texas Tech and you lose. When they came back, you lost in overtime. You end the season on a spiral. You come back the next year, you're looking really good. You get blasted by Illinois. And 2024, 2025, so on and so on. So I don't think it's necessarily a panic. I just think it's more of a cautionary tale. Like it's like fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me three times, yeah, shame on me. Because nothing's shown me that I shouldn't trust this team when March comes around.
Joel, can Texas Tech win the Big 12 tournament and get a better seed than expected? Yes, no, maybe.
No.
Brett, yes, no, maybe.
No, because they don't want to.
Cade, yes, no, maybe.
No.
Mychal, yes, no, maybe.
Maybe.
Jason, yes, no, maybe.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. Listen, if you've beaten Houston so far this year, right, then you're really good. Texas Tech has all of the parts and pieces you need to be successful. Michael, you talked about it. They have an all-American type point guard that takes care of the ball and can make big shots. They've got the ability to get easy baskets inside with a really skilled big. Fantastic coaching with McCaslin. And the last piece is Atwell, the ability to stretch the floor, a 3-and-D guy who can really shoot the ball. If they're going to collapse on top end or bring too many people to Anderson, Atwell can make them pay. They absolutely can do it, especially this. And I've seen quite a lot of Big 12 tournaments living in Kansas City. If Kansas exits, there's tickets to be had. And if Kansas exits, the crowds can get very neutral. They're great crowds, but you don't have to play a road game. If you're playing Houston or these other teams, you don't have to worry about the road game. So if you can navigate a path in the Big 12 tournament without having to go through Kansas, it's very, very viable, especially with that roster.
Cade,
I'm switching my answer to maybe.
Jason convinced you.
He convinced me, and we saw it last night. Luke Bamboya and Sean, you actually talked about this as well. He unlocks a different level to this team. I'm sorry I'm taking the notes you gave me and I'm running with them, but hey, it's Monopoly sometimes, go past go. I collected my money. And Luke raises the floor of this team by a lot. And also, Brett asked Grant this in the post-game press conference, and Grant kind of hinted at something, saying we maybe don't need to play Lawan Watts as long, so we can get a better Lawan Watts in 25 minutes than 35 minutes. Because those 27 minutes played, or a little over that, were outstanding basketball. Yes, not every layup went in. He was great defensively. Brett got annoyed with me by the end of the night because I kept turning and going, man, Lawan looks great defensively. And yeah, look at that face. And so I think that's why you can believe in this team. And Atwell's there. Hey, Josiah Mosley can shoot threes. Mosley can come in and give relief for Watts. They're identical players in terms of stature. And then Jalen Petty as well. He gave Houston 18 points. Let's keep that in mind. I mean, he took it to the best. And so Texas Tech has a bunch of killers. My only reason I'm on maybe is, does Grant want to play the killers in a tournament? Does Grant want to?
The answer to that is no. He doesn't want to. Not one bit, not one moment, not 1 second. If he has the ability of doing that, it does not bode well. But I will go on to the point I made after the game last night is Luke Bamboya makes Texas Tech a better team because teams are cheating on Toppin. And when you've got another good big, as Bamboya is, Toppin had 14 rebounds last night because they were easy weak side rebounds because Bamboya was taking the other side of the lane. If you Texas Tech, the strength of what made them so good and what they did versus Arkansas last year was because they had two bigs. They had Fede, they had JT, and that double play action kept teams from being able to cheat. Brett, what you got?
No, I was going to say Grant just does not want to win that tournament. And like you see, the past two tournaments we've seen two players get hurt. And it's Darren Williams in 2023, 2024. He had a busted leg, and they still managed to beat BYU. That doesn't matter. He didn't play against Houston. And the next year, Chance McMillan gets an oblique injury. He gets him out for 3 games of the NCAA tournament. There's no point in playing because you were already locked into the seed you were going to get. Like Jason was saying, like the committee already knows what they want to give you. If you're a 3 seed in the tournament when you're already losing your best shooter, there's no point in playing the game to win.
Joel.
And we talked a little bit about this after the game. I think this team is just we talked a little bit about on our show at Radio 8.1. This team, I don't think it's kind of grown into the team that they wanted to be or the system they're kind of buying into be. And when I saw last night against Colorado, JT had multiple opportunities to get his head up and look at the 3-point line because they're stacking each other on top of him. If you watch JT's game, his head's always down when he's trying to drive into the lane. He never looks up. So if you're never looking up, you're not going to find a wide open man. You have to use your team as a cohesiveness to come together and win tough games. For example, the Kansas game, a miscommunication effort happened on Texas Tech's end, and then everything just went to fail. So this team just doesn't have a lot of, as Sean would say, testicular fortitude because
have the testicular fortitude to win in the NCAA tournament, because that right there is what is the difference between good teams and great teams. The teams that have that I will do whatever it takes, the diving after loose balls, the going into the crowd to get a ball and throwing it in a opponent's feet, whatever it takes. If you don't have that testicular fortitude, you're done. Mychal, what you got?
You don't think Texas Tech has that?
I don't, and it's coming from players that, honestly, I mean, when you think about it, at the beginning of the season, I mean, the team is built for a 1-2 punch duel, but sometimes guys get egos, and then egos turn around into things that are made for disaster. I'm not saying that there's probably is some egos that are on this team, but it hasn't shown. But at the same time, when the clock is down and you need a guy to step up and be a leader, there's no leaders on this team that you don't see.
Really, I don't know the team like you guys do, but I assumed Donovan Atwell was that guy. He's the one that seems to make plays down the stretch when they really need him. I just assumed that he was that. I don't know his personality, but yeah.
Cade.
I'm going to contradict Joel. It sounds weird to say this, but JT Toppin is a leader on the team. Sure, his head is down in the paint, but Grant really spoke about it these last 2 practices. He said JT showed up and made it where you have to win a practice, and that a coach can yell at you all you want. Trust me, I've tried yelling at a player to do better. It's not my decision. I can't force him to do something. So that's where JT's grown. But I agree with Joel on the other side where JT needs to get used to looking for a guy in the paint to help him, which he did that game against Colorado. I think that was we saw a turning point in how they executed an offense and how they played with one another. And they were diving for loose balls at the first thing. Atwell was flying into the crowd like Sean wanted to see. So I think you're seeing them turn the gear into the right direction, and they're not going down that terrible path.
You guys are again, like Mychal was saying, you guys are so much closer to it than we are, right? But I will say this: going back to the Houston game, if you can get into a rock fight with Houston and emerge from that with a win, then you absolutely have some intestinal fortitude. And I think they are absolutely capable of winning tough games. When they go on the road, they're not always fantastic, but they don't pack it in, right? They don't pack it in. There's a lot of teams that go on the road, and even very good teams, they pack it in, they get beat by 20, they go home, then they look great. They've been competitive even when they've been on the road. Listen, going to West Virginia and having batteries thrown at you, that's not that easy. Like, that's still, we take it for granted that they went there and took care of business this past weekend, but still, that's still a pretty good win. They've done a lot of good things this year. I think they deserve the benefit of the doubt for the possibility of getting through in the Big 12 tournament.
I guess we're gonna swap it around. I'm gonna play the host for a second. We gotta get Sean some film. Mr. Sean, no sports. What teams do you trust and not trust? We already answered this question. Who are your picks?
I'm just going to give you the teams that making me dig their NCAA March graves right now. BYU started 16-1, 2-5 in their last 7. Yes, losses were to top 4 seed teams of Texas Tech, Arizona, Kansas, and Houston. But Oklahoma State, questionable loss for them. Depansa will be successful, but the bench is about as sketchy as my ex-wife near my checking account. I don't trust them. I don't think that BYU is a team that can go long in March. Kentucky, people wanted to bury them after their big losses, especially after Gonzaga, who I trust less than Tennessee on a second weekend. But my problem is they don't have a true second option to Otega-Owe. As well as looking at them will cause a player to get injured. And I know Brett will get mad about this, but Wisconsin has my spidey sense tingling. Yes, they walked into Michigan, gave them the L. And according to Haslametrics.com, they are 352nd in mid-range shots. So if the 3 ain't falling, Wisconsin's going to be grabbing an L. The Badgers play well against the Paper Tigers of the world, but losses against USC, TCU, Villanova. Ugh, that gives me pause. Those are the teams I cannot trust. The teams I trust are Michigan, Arizona, and Houston. Anyone have anything else on my thoughts there? Brad, I'm going to give you an opportunity. You want to back me down for my Wisconsin?
No, you're 100% right. I mean, I know someone from Wisconsin. She gave me a bunch of Wisconsin merch. That's why this whole thing happened, right? I was at a thrift shop and someone was like, "Hey, that's a nice Wisconsin shirt. I played baseball there." But that's besides the point. Yeah, after the Michigan game, I was like, man, that was a shooting clinic, right? From 3. They were able to get some stops. No, you're absolutely right. The mid range is not there, and it's starting to disappear in like the higher ranks of basketball, college basketball. It's always changing. So I'll say you're right on this.
Got to say thanks to our college basketball roundtable, Brett Ramirez, Joel Fosu, Cade Welty, Jason Carmello, and the grumpy one himself, Mychal Hunter. I'm Sean, and as always, Sean knows sports.
He knows ball.
I know.
And track.
Yeah.
Sean knows sports.
You really do. I didn't know that.